What book are you reading at the moment? And why do you even read in the first place? Have you ever wanted to get inside the mind of an acclaimed writer? If so, you're in the right place, because that's exactly what's happening in this video. So make sure to watch the whole interview. Also, give yourself 1 bonus point every time you see or hear a furry friend. C.S.Woolley, take the floor, and I'll see you guys after the Q&A.
Hi, I'm C.S.Woolley. I'm an author of many books. I originally grew up in England and I now live in New Zealand. The process of writing a book is, it changes from person to person. So every author I know has a slightly different way of going about how they write the book. Some people start with an ending. Some people build their characters first. Others have the plot and then the characters develop from the plot. So it really does depend on the author you're talking to. I like to write by firstly having an idea. And once I've had the idea, I then look at how I'm going to develop it. Is it just going to be one book? Is it a series of books? How many characters are involved? Who am I writing the book for? What kind of genre is it in? And it all really develops from there. Trying to go into every single detail of how each step of the process works is extremely complicated and long-winded, so I won't bore you with it now, but it's a very rewarding process as you go through. Who are my books for and what genres do I write? Well, I have 119 books that are currently published, and there's more that are being prepped for publication at the moment. I have a series that I write for Foxton Books, which are written for people learning English. They're the classics and some original stories. Classics have been adapted to different levels. So whether you're just at the first stage of learning to read English or you're much further along, you can engage with these classic tales. So you can read them whether you're a child learning to read or whether you're someone who's learning to read English for the first time as a second or third or even fourth, fifth, sixth, however many languages you speak. The books that I write under the Mightier than the Sword UK publication house are across many different genres. I have an epic fantasy series called the Chronicles of Celadmore, which is for 16 years and up. It's more for adults than it is for children. It's not really young adult, but more advanced 16-year-olds can read those books. I've got a crime noir series, 1930s private investigator, hard-boiled fiction, but with a modern twist. And rather than it being a male private investigator, it focuses on a female one. That one is, again, for kind of 18-year-olds up. Then I've got my Shakespeare Simplified series, which has been written and aimed at school children who are reading Shakespeare and can't really get to grips with it. So it translates line for line, word for word, Shakespeare into modern English. And it, along with the texts of English, just pure English, modern English for children to read, all adults who would like to get back into Shakespeare, there are also a series of workbooks that allow children to read through and engage with the text and help them to understand kind of what they're going to be dealing with in their exams a bit better. Then I have my Children of Ribe series, which is a children's Viking saga. It's aimed at children who are... Hello, Ram. Yes, I know. He's very good. This is the dog. Just because he's interrupting. Say hello, Ram. Sorry. The Children of Ribe series is a children's Viking saga that's aimed at children who are kind of advanced readers, 7 and up, but other readers 9 and up. It's been formatted as well to help dyslexic kids and reluctant readers really engage with fiction. I know that I've had a lot of messages from mums of 9-year-old boys especially who really weren't interested in reading books, who've really got into the series and now have them as their reading books for school. The Children of Snotingas series, which is in a similar vein to the Children of Ribe series, Instead of it being Vikings, though, it's the Anglo-Saxon Britons prior to the Viking invasion. And again, it's written and formatted for children who are dyslexic and reluctant readers as well. This isn't to say that both of those series aren't suitable for other children to read as well. They're just a bit more inclusive. Then the last series that I currently have out, there's some new series coming, but I won't talk about them now. The Mysteries of Stickleback Hollow, which is a cozy Victorian series. It's a series of mysteries, given that mysteries is in the title of the series. I wrote them originally for my mother because she's not a child. She doesn't really like fantasy that much. She's had her days with Shakespeare, and hard-boiled crime noir really isn't her thing, but she wanted to be able to read some of my books and enjoy them as things that she would choose to read. So the Mysteries of Stickleback Hollow kind of fit that hot pigeonhole for her, and so I wrote them for her. So in that, they're really for anybody who's 16 plus, mainly aimed at women, people who like Agatha Christie, Miss Fisher mysteries, all the things in that kind of ilk would enjoy those books. 2 pieces of advice that I'd give to an English learner. One is, don't worry too much about trying to get everything you say perfect. Native English speakers are very, very lazy a lot of the time in how they use language. And a really good way to see how people practically use English is to actually watch YouTube videos. Watch YouTube videos of people interacting, listen to how they use English. Another thing, the other piece of advice I would give is know where you're learning English for. That probably doesn't make an awful lot of sense out of context, but British English is very, very different to American English. By the same ilk, Canadian English is different yet again, and Australian English is different, and New Zealand English is different. Even South African English is again different. Depending on when you want to use the English that you've learned, if you're just learning it because you want a basic knowledge of English, then any of them will be fine, because most English people can kind of automatically translate between the 6 different dialects that are out there within the broad terms of English. But if you're looking to go live somewhere, if you're looking to go live in America and you're learning English because you want to live in America, then listen to Americans talk, and especially those from the region that you're going to, because that will give you an idea of how you can better communicate with them. I know I said 2 pieces of advice, but my third piece would be to read. Because you can take it at your own pace. There are so many pieces of software out there now that can actually help you with how you pronounce words if you've never come across them before. So if you've got one of these apps on your phone and you pick up a book and you start reading through and you come across a word that you don't know, these apps will help you not only with the pronunciation, but what it means as well. My favourite thing about the Northern Irish accent is that whenever I hear one, it reminds me of my friend Ali. I've known him for quite a few years now, probably, close to 10 years? Wow, that's a long time. And it's been since I moved out here, I've not seen him. Since he moved away from England, I've not seen him. So whenever I hear the Northern Irish accent, it just makes me think of him, and it makes me a little bit happy. My accent is a bit of a combination of different places at this point. So it's primarily English, but if you're listening and you've heard other English people speak, you might notice that there's something not quite right about it. And that's because I'm living in New Zealand, and I've lived in New Zealand for a year now, so my accent's taken on some small nuances of the New Zealand accent. With my English accent, it's a non-regional dialect. What that means is that I did a lot of acting in my younger years. And when you're acting, having a strong regional accent, like the Northern Irish accent, like the accent of Newcastle upon Tyne, like the accent of Birmingham, doesn't necessarily help you too much, because it's difficult from people outside of those areas to understand how some of those people talk. So having a non-regional dialect means that you could be from anywhere within the country and anybody in the country could understand you. It used to be very popular with newsreaders. It differs from the Northern Irish accent in quite a few ways, actually. There's not so much of a lilt to my voice, if you know what a lilt is. I can't really think about how to say. There's a musical quality to the Northern Irish accent when they're talking. There's a rhythm, there's a way that it goes up and down as they speak, whereas with my accent, it's much more, I don't know how to describe that. Maybe I'll stop trying to go down that route and do a different route and give you lots of problems editing here, Addy. So the Northern Irish accent is much softer than my accent. I think my accent is very hard. I pronounce my T's and my D's, and everything is very punctuated, whereas other accents, especially the Northern Irish accent, are a lot softer. So you won't get this harsh grinding sound of the T's in the middle of sentences. You won't get the harsh sounding S's or the D's. I'm passionate about an awful lot of things. I'm passionate about grammar. Not so much about spelling, because I'm dyslexic and spelling's not really my strong suit. So that's what I have my fiancé for. But one skill I feel very passionately about is being able to talk to people. It's sort of a dying art in a lot of respects, because when people hold conversations a lot now, they're not trying to listen to what the other person has to say. They're not talking to the person, they're talking at the person. So one skill I'm really passionate about is talking to people. You may disagree with what they're saying, but you give them the chance to listen to them, to explain whatever they're talking about. You ask them questions. You put your own opinion across, and you have a conversation rather than, no, you're wrong and I'm not going to listen to you. I'm just going to keep talking over you until you shut up. So the art of conversation is really one thing I'm very passionate about. What have you seen? With our birdies on the lawn. The dog doesn't like birds invading his lawn. As you can see, he gets very, very protective of his lawn. Those birds are not meant to be there. Doesn't mind ducks on the lawn, but he doesn't like sparrows. Good boy. If people are interested in publishing or writing a book, they should check out www.mightier.com. And on there it has the different ways that you can get in touch, the different services that the publishing house offers. If you search on YouTube for C.S.Woolley free writing course, How to Write Better, there are a number of free videos on there about how to improve your writing. There's more coming over time as I have time to get them out, that I'm putting them together. And they're for anybody of any age to kind of improve their writing. It's focusing on characters, as that's a really good and easy starting point for a lot of people. And there's also contact details on the video descriptions should you want any further contact. Thank you so much for allowing me to... Ram! Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of Ali's Action English today. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope that I've been at least a little bit helpful in your quest to learn English or learn to speak better. And I hope that you're all staying safe and keeping well during this very difficult time.
Thank you, C.S.Woolley, for appearing on the channel. Make sure to check out all those links in the description below. And to continue with the Q&A series, click here.